The national news desk, locally covered, nationally connected.
The meteoric rise in autism is among the most alarming public health developments in history.
Combating the rise of autism, the common over-the-counter drug that the White House says may be behind the troubling trends.
It is not weapon. The Department of Justice to demand accountability for those who weaponized the Department of Justice.
What the President and Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy announcing a significant medical and
now it's 1 in 31, but
and promised swift action on autism. And now his administration is warning pregnant mothers about one of the most commonly used pain relievers in the world.
Taking Tylenol is good. Many that women limit Tylenol use during pregnancy unless medically necessary.
Health officials will now warn pregnant women about using acetaminophen, commonly known as Tylenol, earlier on in pregnancy, and will only recommend it for high fevers. Finding a so-called cause and cure for autism has been a priority for Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. since taking office.
Autism is a complex disorder with multifactorial etiology. We are continuing to investigate a multiplicity of potential causes with no areas of taboo.
Tylenol is one of the only pain relievers recommended for pregnant women and deemed safe by major medical groups. Other pain relievers like ibuprofen are not recommended options. Tylenol's parent company is pushing back on the Trump administration's claims, writing in part in a statement, "We believe independent, sound science clearly shows that taking acetaminophen does not cause autism. We strongly disagree with any suggestion otherwise and are deeply concerned with the health risk this poses for expecting mothers." Autism causes are widely debated in the medical community. Former FDA Commissioner Scott Gottlieb says more studies are needed to definitely link the drug to autism rates.
There's a study in JAMA in 2024 with 2.48 million siblings, showed no correlation. There's been some small studies suggesting that there could be a correlation. Again, worthy of further study, but there is no clear evidence that it causes autism for women who take it during pregnancy.
RFK Jr. is also weighing whether or not to fast-track a cancer drug called leucovorin as a treatment, which has shown promising results in small trials for nonverbal autistic children, in some cases boosting communication and giving some families hope.
Now, Matt, is this the only recommendation that the Trump administration is making?
Probably not. RFK Jr. has a dozen or so working groups examining other hypothetical causes of autism. That work is still ongoing and is expected in a report, but updates aren't expected anytime soon.
In Washington, D.C., Matt Galka, thank you. Well, tonight we are seeing a new phase in the investigation into Charlie Kirk's assassination. While the state of Utah filed charges against the suspect last week, the federal government could also be looking to file charges as well, leaving no stone unturned. The National News Desk, Christine Frizzell, reports on leads being looked into by the FBI.
At the FBI, a quote, thorough and exhaustive investigation is now underway into the assassination of conservative activist Charlie Kirk.
Could you state your name? Tyler James Robinson.
While the prime suspect is already in custody with murder charges filed against him last week, FBI Director Kash Patel says he wants to know more from those who knew or communicated with Tyler Robinson, including in online chats, like on the gaming app Discord.
What we're doing, we've already done, is serve legal process, not just on Discord, so that the information we gathered is sustained and held in a evidentiary posture that we could use in prosecution should it be decided to do so.
On the same day as Kirk's memorial service, FBI Director Patel vowing to meticulously investigate theories and questions, including the possibility of accomplices and hand gestures observed as potential signals near Charlie at the time of his assassination. Videos like this, from seconds before Kirk was shot, spreading like wildfire on social media. The FBI director saying he's looking into it, a somewhat unprecedented statement to make about an ongoing investigation by Patel, who early in the case wrongly posted about a suspect being in custody when they had the wrong guy. This state case already involves the potential for the death penalty, and now the Department of Justice may seek the same. Legal experts say as the case carries on, federal prosecutors will be far more focused on the suspect's intent.
Was he wanting to kill Charlie Kirk because of religious beliefs? Was it a hate crime based on religion? Was it based on antagonism towards his First Amendment rights to speak out to those students at that Utah campus?
Answers may come from those who communicated with the suspect in the days before and after the shooting, as questions pour in about whether anyone may have aided and abetted him in any way. I'm Christine Frizzell for the National News Desk.
A look over St. Paul now, where it's an expected full house at the University of Minnesota this evening as Turning Point USA makes its first stop following the assassination of Charlie Kirk. This on the heels of tens of thousands of people gathering in Arizona Sunday for a memorial service honoring Kirk's life and legacy. The sold-out American Comeback Tour event will now be hosted by conservative commentator and author Michael Knowles. Well, President Trump continues to put pressure on the DOJ to bring criminal charges against several of his political opponents. In a series of Truth Social posts over the weekend, the president calls out Attorney General Pam Bondi by name, saying, quote, "We can't delay any longer." He also praises the work Bondi is doing and nominates White House aide Lindsey Halligan as the top U.S. prosecutor in a key Virginia office. Now, this is the same office from which President Trump says he fired the top attorney, Eric Seibert, and in the district where President Trump is demanding criminal charges against New York Attorney General Letitia James and former FBI Director James Comey. Critics are calling the president's tactics retribution, but White House officials say it's about holding them accountable.
He wants accountability for these corrupt fraudsters who abused their power, who abused their oath of office to target the former president and then candidate for the highest office in the land.
The FBI acknowledging this summer that it was investigating James Comey after an Instagram post that Republicans insisted was a call for violence against Trump. Meanwhile, Letitia James is being investigated by the Trump administration over alleged mortgage fraud. A deal to keep TikTok operating in the U.S. is likely to be signed by the president later this week. That's according to White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt. Now, the deal ensures TikTok is majority owned by American investors and operated in the U.S. by a board of directors with national security and cybersecurity credentials.
Americans' data will be stored securely in the United States without access from China. All U.S. user data will be stored on servers operated by Oracle in the United States, protected from surveillance or interference by foreign adversaries.
White House officials say TikTok will remain a global platform, meaning U.S. users will still be able to see videos posted by users in other countries and vice versa. Well, a shooting at an Amazon warehouse leaves one person dead. Police in Columbus, Georgia, responded to a call at the recently opened facility Monday morning. Authorities say the suspected gunman died there at the scene. His identity has not been released. There's no word about any other injuries. Of course, this is a developing story. Meanwhile, over to Indiana, where an investigation is underway after at least 2 people were killed in a mass shooting outside an Indianapolis shopping center early Sunday morning. Now, police say 5 others were wounded and 3 of the victims are now in critical condition. Officers do believe some sort of disturbance led to gunfire in the parking lot in the northwest part of the city. Right now, no arrests have been made. And the Indianapolis Metropolitan Police Department is now offering a $1,000 reward for information leading to an arrest. Investigators are working to uncover a motive in a shooting at a New Hampshire country club on Saturday that killed one person and injured two others, according to the state attorney general. The murder suspect, a former club employee, Hunter Nadeau, was in court today and did not enter a plea. He's due back in court in October. Prosecutors said there will probably be more charges.
And SB 627, the anti-masking law. Thank you.
California Governor Gavin Newsom, you see there, signing several laws over the weekend to resist President Trump's immigration crackdown. Among them, a bill that bans masks for ICE agents, similar to legislation introduced by a growing number of Democratic-led states, including New York, Massachusetts, and Pennsylvania. This ban is a direct response to those recent immigration raids in Los Angeles, where federal agents wore face coverings while making arrests. Newsom also signing a bill requiring federal agents to provide an ID when conducting enforcement.
If you're going to go out and you're going to do enforcement, provide an ID. Tell us which agency you represent. Provide us basic information that all local law enforcement is required to provide.
Now, a U.S. attorney appointed by President Donald Trump said Newsom has no jurisdiction over the federal government and he must go through Congress if he wants the laws enacted. Utah state lawmakers are holding their first public meeting today on new maps redrawing the state's 4 congressional districts. Over the weekend, 5 draft map options were released. Utah's current congressional map was declared unlawful because it was created with a reduced role of an independent commission. A redistricting committee was created to go along with the new court order, and the Republican-controlled body will publish the proposed map Thursday. A look now over to Missouri's state capital in Jefferson City, where a congressional redistricting effort sits on Governor Mike Kehoe's desk. He says he will sign it soon, but for now, the new map is tied up in court. And the ACLU filed a lawsuit suggesting the new map uses the same voting district twice in Kansas City. Governor Kehoe, however, says although the numbers are the same, they represent 2 separate areas and no one was counted a second time. Closing arguments are expected tomorrow morning in the attempted assassination of Donald Trump case against Ryan Ruth in South Florida. Ruth, who is defending himself, rested his case after just 1 day of calling witnesses. Ruth's questions centered around the rifle used, suggesting the cheap and broken firearm was not the weapon of choice of a professional assassin. And the main witness today did testify the rifle was broken but still worked. Jury deliberations will begin after closing arguments tomorrow. Coming up, the second major storm of the 2025 hurricane season is strengthening the expected impact of Gabrielle on the East Coast. Then more people are turning to social media instead of therapy for their mental health problems. A new report reveals how risky that can be. Also on the way, the steps Seattle is taking to shield migrants from cuts to federal funding for food and housing. Stay with us. We'll be right back. San Francisco, Bay Area residents hit with a 4.3 magnitude earthquake early this morning. The United States Geological Survey says it was centered in Berkeley, California, and struck just before 3 a.m. local time. Then around 8 a.m. local time, a 2.6 magnitude aftershock was detected near Berkeley. No known injuries or major damages have been reported. The Bay Area train systems have been running behind just as a precaution. Now, meanwhile, in the Atlantic, Hurricane Gabrielle has strengthened into a Category 4 storm as it heads over the ocean. It's now the second major storm of the 2025 hurricane season. And right now, Gabrielle is passing east of Bermuda with maximum sustained winds of about 120 miles per hour. The storm presents no direct threat to coastal United States, thankfully, but the National Hurricane Service has issued a high rip current risk along the East Coast for today and tomorrow. So take a look at this map here on your screen. It's color coded. The areas in red, life-threatening rip currents are likely. Swimming conditions there are considered unsafe for all beachgoers. Now, in the yellow areas, these conditions are possible and may appear suddenly without warning. More countries are formally extending diplomatic recognition to Palestine, putting pressure on the United States and Israel. The national correspondent Kayla Gaskins reports from Washington.
The push to recognize a Palestinian state is gaining momentum, just as world leaders arrive in New York for this week's UN General Assembly.
We are acting to keep alive the possibility of peace.
The United Kingdom, Canada, and Australia now joining more than 145 countries that already formally recognize Palestine. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer says it's a step towards ending the war in Gaza.
That means a safe and secure Israel alongside a viable Palestinian state. At the moment, we have neither.
On Monday, France and Saudi Arabia hosted an international peace conference in New York, where 10 more countries, including Belgium, Luxembourg, Portugal, and Malta, made their recognition official. The U.S. and Israel remain opposed. President Trump addressing the disparity during his visit to the U.K. last week.
This has been going on for a long time. This is not something that's over the last year, 2 years, but this has been for decades and decades. But we want it to end, so I have a disagreement with the Prime Minister on that score.
Arguing recognition now will only
The international community will hear from us on this matter in the coming days.
But leaders like Starmer and Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney insist recognition is about laying the groundwork for peace, not rewarding terrorism.
Because it means Hamas can have no future, no role in government, no role in security.
The debate over a Palestinian state will carry into the United Nations General Assembly this week, where President Trump is set to deliver the opening address on Tuesday. In Washington, I'm Kayla Gaskins.
Well, Hamas is now directly reaching out to President Trump as the terror group faces global pressure. That's according to Fox News, reporting that Hamas wrote a letter to Trump saying it would release half of the hostages held in Gaza if he guarantees a 60-day ceasefire. The letter is reportedly in the hands of the Qataris, and it's on the way to the White House. A trial over whether Amazon tricked millions of into signing up for Prime is underway. In a 2023 lawsuit, the FTC claims the e-commerce giant used deceptive user interface designs to get people to enroll in automatically renewing subscriptions that are hard to cancel. Amazon denies this, saying it always puts customers first. The trial is expected to last a month. Well, concern about toxic PFAS in farmland is growing. These forever chemicals can end up in the soil when sewage sludge is used as a fertilizer, which is the case for about a fifth of U.S. farms.
All a farmer wants to do is grow a good, healthy crop, do right by the land, feed the public in a responsible manner. And when something is injected into his world like this, it's going to devastate him.
One Maine farmer found that his cow's milk had 350 times more PFAS than what's allowed in drinking water, forcing him to close his farm. And he's not the only one. This is prompting calls to regulate PFAS levels in farmland. A disturbing trend is developing where social media is becoming a first stop for people seeking help for mental health. But a new investigation finds that the information they're receiving may be misleading. The National News Desk, Angela Brown explains.
It's more common than you think.
If you're struggling with your mental health at the moment, you need to hear this.
Those struggling with mental health or just looking for support are turning to social media, especially TikTok. Some of those messages sound helpful.
Not every difficult person is a narcissist. Not every workplace is toxic just because you don't like your boss.
But a recent investigation by The Guardian shows how risky it can be. The Guardian took the 100 most popular TikTok posts under the hashtag mental health tips and had psychiatrists and psychologists fact-check them. The result, 52 of 100 videos contained some misinformation. Dr. Lee Richardson looked over that report.
People are self-diagnosing and they're coming up with their own protocols. I saw one example that if you take a shower holding an orange, it'll reduce your anxiety.
TikTok responding, saying TikTok is a place where millions of people come to share their authentic mental health journeys. Also saying there are clear limitations to the methodology of this study. Richardson says check with professionals before acting.
It's false, it's misleading, it causes confusion, it takes... it encourages risky behavior that can actually harm us.
Some experts say social media platforms like TikTok can actually offer a number of positive supports for mental health, like finding people who share similar experiences, whether it's living with anxiety or even coping with grief, and creating a community. In Washington, D.C., I'm Angela Brown.
Coming up, some counties are now in quarantine over the invasive spotted lanternfly. A new warning about this growing threat right after this. We have reporters all across the country in your neighborhoods covering issues that matter to you. We are taking the pulse of America, and we start in Seattle, where the mayor is trying to shield immigrants from federal funding cuts.
Mayor Bruce Harrell says Seattle's status as a sanctuary city is under attack, and the funding cuts the federal government wants to implement would harm the most impoverished among us.
They target our immigrant and refugee neighbors and slash federal support to vital services, something as simple as how one can eat.
As President Donald Trump focuses on immigration enforcement, the mayor wants to spend an additional $4 million on programs that will help this community find work, housing, and legal assistance.
Seattle is choosing to stand with our communities and our values.
Homeless services would get a $9 million boost for emergency shelter services and hotel voucher programs, with another $4 million for rental assistance.
The director of the Ohio Department of Agriculture is putting out a hit on the spotted lanternfly.
Do your part. If you see him, don't be afraid to squish him.
The invasive species from Asia arrived in Pennsylvania in the 1990s and was first spotted in Ohio in 2020. Now it has spread across the state to the point where the ODA has quarantined 18 counties, including Hamilton, Franklin, and Montgomery, meaning nurseries must have their plants and trees inspected before shipping them to other counties.
Vines dying because of the spotted lanternfly pulling out sap from those vineyards and then expanding into other areas.
This rare discovery, a 1 in 30 million find, according to the New York Aquarium, part of the Wildlife Conservation Society. Kyle Brancato stumbled upon it while shopping at the Tops on Jefferson Road.
Walked by the lobster tank and I saw this bright orange lobster, very different from all the other ones in the tank.
Brancato knew he was looking at something special, and he decided to save it. Without experience caring for lobsters, he had to figure out how to keep it alive until help arrived. Volunteers from Humane Long Island agreeing to transport the animal several hours away. After several stops to check his safety along the way, the lobster arriving in Long Island appearing healthy late Sunday evening.
Coming up, what you may not know about Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish holiday starting tonight. We'll be right back. Wishing a very happy new year to Jewish people all across the world. Beginning at sundown tonight, it's Rosh Hashanah, the start of their high holiday season, literally meaning head of the year. Rosh Hashanah is also called Yom Teruah, meaning day of blasting, signifying the sounding of the shofar, the ram's horn. Well, bear enthusiasts, get ready for one of the best weeks of the year. Starting tomorrow morning at 12 p.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, voting opens for Katmai National Park's Fat Bear Week. Oh, yeah, it's a thing. Every year, the park celebrates the bears that live on the preserve in Alaska as they prepare for their long hibernation over the winter. From midsummer to early fall, bears can actually increase in size, get this, by 30 to 40%. The official bracket reveal will be done live on YouTube in about half an hour, and I can barely wait. My producer is also very excited for this. We love that story today. All right, that's all the time we have for now. Thanks for joining us for this edition of National News Desk. I'm Taylor Murray.